Happy New Year's. This is a quick video. I just want to do this. This is just depressing, but I want to go on to like fun stuff too, and the answer. So this is about the oppression and tragedies going on around the world. Let me move to this real quick. So Germany is falling. Mobs of military-age Muslim migrants riot and attack police. They shot at anything that moves. So we've got stuff going on all across Europe, even in London. The Hamas thing and the protesting in Islam is taking over. The migrants are taking over town squares, protesting, attacking people, especially women. That's their thing right here. In Italy, she was crying that Muslim men were chasing her, and she just got away. And this whole place is the Piazza del Duomo in Milan. Is just full of Muslims. They just taken over the entire area. And this just shows different videos of Muslims just attacking and doing horrible things to the West. And I don't fear Islam. I want you guys to not fear Islam either, because Islam is not actually the problem. Let me go back to it real quick. Islam is not the problem. It's us, and it's the left and the pagans that are hindering us from. And we're letting them hinder us from being who we should be, we're called to be. Let me go back to this real quick. And this is chivalry. And, in role-playing games, we have knights and paladins, but we don't have Jesus Christ. We don't have the church. The role-playing games are all about being kind of like these heroes and pretending to be heroic, but there's no church, and they've erased that part. And so the role-playing games is my whole channel. My point now is that Dungeons and Dragons, and I love these role-playing games, but it's just gone too far. And they're it's not fantasy anymore. It's not a game anymore. It's their agenda, using the games to make us all pagan. Their Pride Month. They all celebrate Pride Month. I wish it was just fantasy. That's what I get comments. Oh, it's just fantasy. It's just a game. Well, I wish you guys would just actually follow that rule, but you don't. You're pushing an agenda. Your D&D is changing the words. They're stealth editing because of the woke agenda. They're so are all the games now. They're stealth editing and putting in LGBTQ and the pronouns and then having you do missions for two husbands or two wives or whatever. They're making kings women, which is ridiculous. So it's not a game anymore. It's not fantasy anymore. So that's my charge to you Christian men in the game, in the RPG culture. It's time. It's time to return to chivalry. So here's chivalry. And this is my point, is that in medieval times, if you look at the Roman Empire before Christ and the church utterly conquered Rome, this empire, think about it, that when the church came in, Rome fell. But before that, Rome was the epitome, the pinnacle of paganism and of atheism and by the way, atheism and paganism, same thing to me. You guys are all, there's no God. You can be your own God. Atheists, that's what atheists are. You can be your own God. I can make up whatever I want. That's what pagans are. Make whatever I want. So you're all the same. You're all just don't believe in Christ and do whatever you want. So the chivalry is the code that permeated the culture of Christianity when the church was growing, and still plenty of pagans in this period. Don't get me wrong there. And there's plenty of Christians who weren't apologetic, who didn't didn't fully understand the Bible. But there were plenty of Christians in the church that were bringing out the ethics and morality of Christianity and spreading it, and people were following it. And that's what we need to do as Christians. We need to make the church stronger and continually preach this type of stuff to the culture and get the culture to follow this. And I remember, this really hit me too. I'm here in Hollywood, and I was when my girls went to public school, there was a lot of Russians kids going to the school. And I talked to one of the moms, and she was telling me how in Russia, because Russia did not have a strong Christian culture. It had some, but it's not, it was never like a majority. But she said that people there, like the young men and stuff, were just rude to her children and are rude to the women. And they would just kind of, just swear and stuff. And she says here, everyone is polite. Like they're polite to the children. They're polite to me. They're polite. There's chivalry, and that has permeated the West. And I'd like to think that Russians, and I've met quite a few, and that they are generally influenced by the West and getting better. I hope. I don't know. Like I got that's going off on a weird tangent. But I remember her saying that, and I was like, wow, yeah. And I started thinking about that too. And it's chivalry. Chivalry permeated the Christendom, which is the white colonizer West. And look at what the rules are. This is for the badass knight, the aristocracy, but this permeates throughout culture, right? Everyone follows the leaders, and there's even on Wikipedia here how that it permeated down to the peasants, that they started acting the same way. To fear God and maintain His church, to serve and why the church? Because all the other things were freaking horrible. Paganism, witchcraft, that was all about manipulation, power. And the church, saw it for what it was. And you guys today are pretending. Today, the pagan is trying to be trying to sell itself as chivalry and romance. And, it's trying to get rid of the Jesus part and then just sell this. But it doesn't, in the end, it falls apart. When they get more power, when a pagan and an atheist gets power, they begin to use it on you, right? When a Christian gets more power, they begin to feel guilty and it starts falling apart because other Christians start looking, hey, I think you're doing this wrong. That's the whole fellowship thing. We have to keep each other in check as Christians. Atheists and pagans don't keep each other in check. They go for power. I mean, they're all fighting for power, whether they're being nice about it or not, but in the end, it's going to fall apart. In Christianity, it'll fall apart, but we're looking at it. We're watching each other. We're keeping each other in check. To fear God and maintain His church. And then we got some rules to serve the liege lord in valor and faith, to protect the weak and defenseless. What is this? To protect the weak and defenseless. What the heck does that mean? For a pagan, that means nothing. That means slavery. Let's just enslave them. The weak and defenseless, enslave them, exploit them, use them. Right? To protect the weak and defenseless. That's what a tyrannical Christian knight of medieval times. Here's a rule they have: to protect the weak and defenseless. And remember, these codes of chivalry permeated, and there was different variations of them, but they permeated the West starting in 1000 AD. 1000 AD, this stuff started happening, where knights started to learn this. Now, I'm not saying every knight was an angel, but there was an attempt, at least. There's not an attempt in Islam or in these pagan countries to protect the weak and defenseless. There's not an attempt to do that. I know they have a sacrament on that, but they got a counter to it as well. To give succor to widows and orphans. The invention of like the adoption agency and all that, it came from Christianity. In pagan cultures, you do not want to be a widow. You will be ransacked. Your wealth, your everything will be taken from you. Or an orphan. You'll be a slave immediately. But in Christianity, to help them, we help the widow and the orphan. And it says that in the Bible. It doesn't say like give to the poor, right? It says give to the widow and orphan. And then and I think it says give to the poor, but it's determining widows and orphans. It's those who can't help themselves. To refrain from wanton giving of offense. Look at that. To just don't swear and curse. Don't blaspheme. Don't insult people, even lesser people, right? Wanton, like just, that means just flagrant offense to people. I mean, obviously, and I like to put that word in, wanton. You may have to give offense to someone, but it shouldn't be wanton. You shouldn't be a jerk. To live by honor and for glory. To despise pecuniary award. So that's a monetary award. To despise pecuniary award. So, you're not doing it for the money. To fight for the welfare of all. What the heck? This is chivalry. And this requires you to believe in Jesus Christ. This requires a church. Pagans don't care about these rules. I mean, they might make up a few, but then they'll fall apart. And I look at the Democrat Party. They'll fall apart. And the Republican Party can certainly go this way as well, or go the wrong, pagan way as well. But thankfully, there's still enough Christians in there that are, keeping things in check, hopefully. But anyone, including you and me, can become corrupt, become bribed, become blackmailed or whatever, become, hiding our little Epstein list or whatever the heck these freaking things are these days. There's a lot of corruption in DC right now, in America. We are falling as a nation of the church, a nation of morals, and our leaders are, and the Republican Party, even like the Democrat Party has always been evil and whatever. The Republican Party to me is very weak, and they're not even calling out like the corruption that's going on. They're, so where's the church in all this? The weak church is weak. But the answer is the church. You and me returning to the church and returning even in the role-playing games. That's why I'm saying this is my channel. I'm focusing on the role-playing game aspect of the mission field. And you as Christian men, you need to start figuring this out. You need to start putting it in. And I'm telling you this, it's not a burden. It is not a burden to put your faith back in the game. It's a little hard to find players. You're going to lose players, but it isn't a burden. I am enjoying it so much. I'm just having a blast with this. And I'm just trying to get you, to me, this is my, each one of us Christians has to figure out our joyful ministry service to the Lord, because we want to serve the Lord. We don't have to serve the Lord. I'm chosen. I'm a Calvinist, so I'm chosen. I'm saved already. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do it. I can just live a peaceful, humble life, which Jesus does say, or God says, do that. Jesus says, just live a peaceful, humble life. But we want to serve. We want to do something. And we're seeing the culture around us, and we're losing our freedoms. So this is my way of doing it. To obey those placed in authority. So you got to be. So if I'm going to fight the Democrat Party, I'm not going to go out and attack them or beat them or anything. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to build the church, build Christian men, and go into legislation. Try to get more Christians to be aware of this stuff and vote and get things done and be critical and observant of governance. That's to obey those placed in authority. That I'm looking for ways to do this legally, to fight the left and the woke and the Democrats and the pagans and the LGBT. I'm not here to undermine them or hurt them. I am here to get Christian men into the halls of governance, because right now, and especially here in California, the halls of governance are filled with the LGBTQT. They run everything, and the Christian men in the church has receded. So, to guard the honor of fellow knights, okay, to eschew unfairness, meanness, and deceit. All right, so don't be unfair, don't be mean, don't deceive. These are rules of Christian chivalry. To keep faith, at all times speak the truth. So if you're a knight dealing with a peasant and making a trade, are you going to rip that peasant off? Are you going to intimidate them and scare them? Well, apparently by these rules, no, you're not. You're not supposed to. To persevere to the end in any enterprise begun, to respect the honor of women. To respect the honor of women. Do pagans respect the honor of women? No, they rape and pillage and attack. If they can. They'll sexually exploit them. Pagans will sexually and enslave and sexualize women. Polygamy. The Vikings did it. Everyone did it. But the chivalric knight, the Holy Temple, the Templars, they didn't do that. And actually, most of them were abstinent, right? They had a rule of abstinence in many of the knights, the Templar knights especially. Never refuse a challenge from an equal. Never turn your back on a foe. Okay, and never stab a foe in the back. There's other ones too. I mean, there's even a code of chivalry, and there's a code of courtly love, which is another big one. And that one has a bunch of love things and talking about romance. Now, I want to talk about this. The themes of chivalric literature, and this is in Wikipedia, which I don't like, but whatever. I'm just trying to make this quick. Duties to countrymen and fellow Christians. This includes mercy, courage, valor, fairness, protection of the weak and the poor, and the servanthood of the knight to his lord. This also includes being willing to give one's life for another's, whether for a poor man or his lord. Whether for a poor man or his lord. It's in the Bible. Give one's life for another. That's the value of a Christian. And we're not martyrs. We're not like suicides, but we're risking our life to protect others. Duties to God. This includes being faithful to God, protecting the innocent, being faithful to the church, being the champion of good against evil, being generous and obeying God above the feudal lord. How come this isn't in all the role-playing games? And I even got this like one that sort of represented old Europe, but they just removed Jesus out of it and the church. Pretend, they kind of renamed it to something else. I was like, what the freak? I'm going to say the curse word. What the fuck? What a fucking liar, kind of is the way I feel about this. I'm sorry I'm doing that, but I still got my atheist ways. Still got my freaking anger. Duties to women. This is probably the most familiar aspect of chivalry. This includes what is often called courtly love, the idea that a knight is to serve a lady and after her all other ladies, and a general gentleness and graciousness to all women. This is a Christian value. This is not a pagan value. It's not an atheist value. It's not a Marxist communist value. We treat women like above and beyond. That's chivalry. And people say chivalry is dead. Well, the church is dead, and you like that. Well, so why are you surprised that chivalry is dead? If there's no church, there's no chivalry. The answer is the church, and you men need to bring the church back, and you need to remind women that if they want to be treated with respect, church, we need to bring the church back. We need to rebuild the church. You guys need to show up at church, support church. I don't like church. The culture of church. I go to church and I love church. I'm just saying, I'm being hyperbole here, but they always, like when I first started, they all come up to me, oh, you should read this book. You should read that book. You should read this book about, this is great about, they had all this theology stuff and you should join our thing in here, volunteer here. I'm like, you know what I mean? So I get it. I get that kind of aspect of church and the whole socializing part of it, but you need it. You need to figure it out. You need to know that when you go to a church, you can just say, no, I'm not interested in that. No, thank you. Or I don't want to do that. Or I haven't figured out what I want to do yet. Or, you can have your own agency at the church. You're not a slave to the church. What you are a slave to is the joy in Christ. Okay. And then you'll find, and take your time and slowly, if you get in arguments with other people at church, it means you're pushing it too much. You're pushing yourself too much. You're expecting too much. Bring it down a level. Just show up. Wait till something, natural comes along. I've been going to church for 14 years now, and I'm still not really finally, I think this is my ministry or what I want to do for the church. And I've been trying different things there. And I went to different churches. So I left 2 churches, by the way. After 2 years, I left one, and after 2 years, I left another one because of, it's a problem. Churches are a problem, but you need to persevere in joy with Christ in a fellowship of a church, in a church. Okay. And that way build up the church somehow, make sure you're happy with whatever it is you're doing with the church or what part of the church you're in, or, how you're involving yourself in it. And try to definitely get fellowship with other men, somehow. For me, the fellowship of men is now through this, and I'm still working on it, still figuring it out, honing that. But, so we got to rebuild the church to bring back chivalry to the world, to the governance. What if every person followed those rules? And the only way they're going to follow them is if there's a fear of God in their heart and in their mind, a fear of a judgment. So you got to bring that back, and they will fight then evil. The men of church that you build up, because I'm old, so it's up to you young guys. But we got to confront evil, confront the oppressiveness of paganism, and reveal paganism and subdue it. Not eradicate it or kill it or anything like that. We need to subdue evil. You can't get rid of it. You won't ever get rid of it. You're not Jesus. You're not God. But you got to subdue it. And the way to subdue it is rebuild the church and bring back chivalry. And in in my role-playing game, you can. What is my role-playing game? Why are we playing a game? It's for downtime. It's for fun time. But it's also for edification and fellowship, and bring up discussions about when you go into the real world to do it. Like, I'm just not used to evangelism at all. I'm not used to it. I've been an atheist most of my life. I'm not used to the church, and I've never been taught evangelism in the church even. I'm learning about the Bible and about God and Jesus and all that and the faith, but I don't know about evangelism. And I don't have it in my psyche. I've been lulled by role-playing games to be a pagan my whole life, or atheism and entertainment. And even, I've been lulled to just think of heroes and stuff, but I've never been taught to evangelize, and I don't know how to do it. So, or it's not part of my reflexes, and I want it to be part of my reflexes. So that's why this role-playing game really helps you do that. It really helps you. I think, maybe you guys can make it better, take my system and add more to it or make it better so that it's a better evangelist tool. But it's an evangelist tool. It's a fellowship tool for you to gather other Christian men. And I say it, again, say it from a male focus point, because that's just a dig at the pagans and their gender fluidity thing. But yeah, so that's my game for Lord RPG. I'm going to make it affordable starting tomorrow. My birthday's tomorrow, January 2nd. It's free right now. If you watch this video, it's free. Go get it. But I'm going to change it back to $5 PDF, and then I'm going to get some prints going. I really found a good printing place, affordable. They do church printing stuff. I'm assuming they're Christian, but hopefully that'll be fun. And I try to do the local thing, but that was just too hard and expensive. Anyway, but I am doing an American printer version. Okay. Whatever. Okay. So in the game of life, thank you for listening. I'm going to try to do more game videos, like GM stuff, more informative, fun talk of the role-playing game, because I want to watch videos like that, and I can't find any. They're all about the pagan RPGs. And I'm like, I'll just listen to it. And I really, sadly, I'm annoyed by conservatives and Christians who talk all excitedly about other role-playing games, because that's what gets me the most. Like, man, you guys are missing out, and you're so excited about these things, but you're excited about pagan things. You're excited about pagan things. Ugh, that's what bugs me the most, but what can I do? All right. In the game of life, roll holy dice.